welcome to our TST Dialogues. Today we're joined here by our very own UNCCD Executive Director, His Excellency Ibrahim. Welcome to our dialogues.
Thank you.
Okay, so I only have one question for this dialogue. You having an experience of 4 decades in these issues of sustainable development, environmental management, environmental science, in your experience, what is the relevance of women also for them to be involved in these issues and in those experiences with the new agendas that we're having in this current COP? What is really the relevance of it based on your experience?
Because women are half of humanity, or even more than that. But secondly, because in most parts of the world, they are the main producers. And dealing with a convention like the Convention on Land Degradation and Land Restoration, the only global treaty on land, unless you really address this question in a fundamental way, you will never achieve your ambitions. Because the challenge is that due to traditions and past practices, most women in a number of countries have no access to land. They don't have land rights, and as a consequence, they don't have access to credit, nor to technology. So how can you feed families? How can you respond to basic development needs if you are discriminating against half of humanity? So I find myself in a very uncomfortable situation of being asked this question, because it is really not the kind of debate we should have in this time and age. I think you may have noticed that at this COP we have a decision that has now been approved by the parties on land rights, with a focus on women. 2 years ago, at the last conference of the parties, there was a decision on a gender action plan. But that gender action plan could not have been implemented without a proper decision on land. Because again, without access to land, there is no debate about women and land restoration and land degradation. So I really hope that the world will change, and that they will change in the sense that not necessarily to to discontinue all the traditions, but there are some traditions that are not relevant anymore in this world. In the same way as women are, going to the moon, pilots of airplanes, scientists doing, laser work and so forth, it is fundamentally important to give them the basic access to feed their families. And they are the ones that are feeding their children. So this is a fundamental issue. It will require some policy change at the national level. It will require maybe introducing some new technologies so as to smoothen the transition. We know how difficult it is to change traditions, so instead of confronting old traditions, it is probably much better for governments to find ways of finding a smooth transition, maybe through technological change, maybe introducing some disruptors, as I call them, like solar energy or any kind of new technologies that will make the transition much smoother. So, but it is clear that for this UN Convention to combat desertification, gender is critical. But let me be clear, gender is not only women, it is youth, it is intergenerational aspects that we talked about. It's basically addressing the issue of inequalities, rural, urban issues. All of these will have to be addressed in a much better way, in a much cleaner way, so as to achieve the sustainable development goals that, I repeat, have an ambition of leaving no one behind.
Yes, just maybe you would want to know, or you already know, we had people actually having faith with yesterday we had a dialogue with the Deputy Minister, the Vice Minister of Environment Affairs in Puerto Rico. She was saying that we have confidence in you, that you also ensure that women are involved in these things and are also empowered. What message can you just give unto them, or reassurance?
Well, I will do everything I can to address this issue, because it is a fundamentally important issue for the achievement of the ambition of this convention. And more importantly, it is a fundamentally important for development and human development. Without dignity, without equality, without basically providing needs to both men and women, we will not be in a fair world, and we will not be in a world that progresses. You cannot make progress if you discriminate half of you. You cannot work with one foot. It is clear that it is very important that we take this, and that is what we do in our families, by the way. Everybody respects their mother, men respect their wives, brothers respect their sisters. Why is it that outside there we are not doing the same?